Howdy, and welcome to episode 104 of In the Rabbit Holes Urban Survival Podcast. In this episode, life on the farm, dolphins, and seaworthy chastity belts. We're your hosts, Aaron
and Jason.
And you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. All right, so quick announcement today. We are embarking on survival videos. Our plan is in the next 12 months, we're going to be making about 10 to 12, maybe a little more survival videos for you guys. And we sent out a thing to the mailing list and asked everybody that was on the mailing list to take a survey and tell us what they wanted. Because, of course, we were trying to figure this all out while we were break and realized, the smart thing to do rather than sitting around arguing about what the right videos to make were, since time is so limited, and we want to do a good job on this, was, ask you guys or something. So we did send out a survey, and you guys are freaking awesome because so many people responded back. We're getting so much good feedback, too, because there's even a comment section on the survey that gives people a chance to say, hey, I know you gave me a choice of these things, and I could pick 10, but I really also want to know about this. So that's been great too. And if you're not on the mailing list, we don't spam people. Usually you get an email update from us every Saturday morning that just kind of tells you, hey, this is what was going on the blog / website / podcast this week. And that's about it. So if you're not on there, sign up for the mailing list. I've put a thing in there. You'll get a link to go check out some cool stuff we're doing and to take the survey. So and today's show is going to be a lot of very random stuff, as we've had.
Always.
It's always a random survival show. So I guess to start with, I learned an interesting, literally right before we started the show today, I learned the value of making sure that your food stores are well sealed. And actually this was, all things, it was, what was it? It was a Cliff Bar.
Yeah. And
I usually keep a few in case I've forgotten to eat or eaten or anything like that. And I was like, we're about to do a show. I don't have time to really eat, so I'm just going to grab a Cliff Bar.
You're a horrible survivalist, man.
I am.
Prepper.
Well, everything else is like packed up and sealed away, like stuff that really is storable. And these are just in the cabinet. And I've been having this weird problem with moths lately. They're like these 1 centimeter long, beige, just annoying moths things.
Protein, dude.
They are protein, but they don't taste that good, as I just found out. Or at least the maggots don't, because I opened up a Cliff Bar and was walking through the house. I was printing out some stuff for you to take a look at. And so I'm not looking at the Cliff Bar, because what do you think? You're expecting the Cliff Bar to be perfectly fine and normal. It's in its little foil packet.
Yeah, how the hell
Open it up. I bit into it. Those little boogers burrowed right through the packaging.
Wow.
And I bit into it and I was like, why is my Cliff Bar squirming in my mouth? And why is this Cliff Bar all like grainy feeling?
Ooh.
Yeah, so I got myself a mouthful of moth maggot poop, I think.
That.
Yeah, I didn't swallow. I literally, it was like one bite into it, hadn't even really started to chew it and was like, what the hell? And I looked down at it and I'm like, oh, that's messed up. Threw it away. And yeah, if it had been a real survival situation, I could have just eaten it. But you know what? It's not a survival situation. And
that's nasty, actually.
Yeah. Worst case scenario was just, my blood sugar is going to be a little low for the show today. And
it's all right.
So I threw it away. But interesting thing, to note, those little buggers will get into things you would not expect them to.
That actually shocks the hell out of me.
And now I'm actually trying to figure out how to get rid of all these moths. So I don't know. We'll see. Survival of the exterminator bell, I guess, is going to be what that's going to be all about. But we also had a medical emergency the other night.
Awesome. You would have to.
Now, I want to set this up. It is Friday night. Here are my Friday night plans. I'm going to go home. I'm going to have myself a nice big glass of Johnny Walker Black. I'm going to get on the computer. I'm going to fart around for a little bit. And I'm going to go get in bed, watch a movie, and just not think, not do anything. And what happens? One of your lady friends tells me, Jason's having a heart attack. And I'm like, what? Jason's having a heart attack. Why does Jason think he's having a heart attack? So we go through that rigmarole. And finally, I'm sending you a text message, which is, take off your gun, put on comfortable clothes. I'm coming to get you. Even if I have to kick your door in, taking you to the hospital.
Fair enough.
And actually, it was one of the few times that you didn't argue with me about it, and I didn't have to convince you. You had, which I later found out, you'd been having this problem for 3 days. Some survival buddy you are. Gonna leave me all alone for the zombie apocalypse.
I was popping aspirin. I didn't think anything of it, man.
And tequila.
Hey, got it in the blood, man.
I don't know that that's a good idea. We should ask Ron that.
Right? No doubt.
I think it's yeah, I don't think we want to call Ron right now, but we should find that out. Is tequila a good idea when you think you're having a heart attack? I'm going to guess no. That's a bad idea, but luckily, or at least the part of town that the minor emergency room that I took you to is in a part of town where there's a lot of bar. It's basically on a strip where there's a lot of bars.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
perfect place for emergency room.
Well, I was going to say that they were not shocked, surprised, or otherwise confused by the fact that you smelled like tequila when I brought you in. He's having a heart attack. So, turned out you were not having a heart attack, thankfully.
Was not having a heart attack. I was low on potassium. I was dehydrated. And I was pumping syrup through my blood again.
Yes. And you have, what is it that you have?
I'm going to mispronounce this, so everyone please forgive me. I think it's polysynthia, but I'm pronouncing it wrong. I basically overproduce red blood cells. It's a throwback caveman thing from all my ancestors that were being stabbed with swords and whatever in Ireland.
That explains so much about you.
Yes.
Okay.
We're the only ones that survived, so that we were the only ones that bred. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like the sickle cell anemia thing.
Oh, yeah.
They're immune to malaria.
Yeah.
That's why they survived and bred. And
fascinating.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's a great survival tool. Anyone ever needs a blood transfusion, I'm the universal donor, and I can give up to a pint, actually 2 pints, every 2 days.
That's
every 3 days, actually.
Pretty freaking impressive. So I have a blood bank.
Yes,
a traveling blood bank with me.
Yes, sir, you do. Yes, yes.
Hopefully that doesn't attract zombies.
I know, right? I'm like the epitome of like the perfect vampire blood.
I don't know. They might be like, this is kind of syrupy and sweet. Really didn't want cheesecake.
I don't have diabetes.
Fair enough.
It's too much iron. It's actually kind of rusty, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Too bad you weren't actually sitting in there with me to actually finally see what the process is. They didn't actually have a blood pump, so they had to do it by hand with syringes. And the nurse had never done this, so she was kind of like worried about me. And the minute she draws out like the first syringe full, I'm like, oh yeah, it's kicking in. You know, and she was like, what? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Every time that I give blood, it's like it takes the pressure. It's very hard to describe. It takes the pressure off, and then all of a sudden I get this giant shot of energy. And you know me fairly well, you've known me for a very long time.
Mm.
You can tell after I've given blood because all of a sudden I'm like just crazy hyper.
Yes, you came out and were jumping up and down and talking to the woman behind the counter and having a good time and getting her number and doing all kinds of stuff. And Jade, like, is he really over there getting her? I don't know. Don't involve me in y'all's drama. I just wanted to watch MTV Ridiculous or X-Men because we kept bouncing back and forth between channels because Jade has ADD. Like, just pick something and watch it. This was not what I had planned for my Friday night.
Yeah, man. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So, but that's good to know. I have a walking blood bank I get to keep with me. But you actually have to do this pretty often. You have to give blood pretty often.
Yes. Boiling it down, yes. I have to give blood roughly once a month. And let's say let it get out of control or the counts are too high. And what happens is I'm the opposite of being anemic.
Okay.
So my iron levels get really, really high. Well, your body will actually store iron.
Mm-hmm.
So what they basically got to do is basically drain me every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go and give a pint of blood every week. I'm changing my oil is basically what I'm doing. I get all new blood cells because I have a tendency to have larger red blood cells because I drink a lot and I smoke, which is not very good. Kind of aggravates the whole situation. But I basically have to drain all that stuff out so it'll actually kind of clean out the iron in my system. Well, I reproduce blood so fast that it's like, no big deal. Take a pint here, pint there, pint there. Because actually, when we went in, I had just given blood 3 days before that.
Oh, I thought the whole problem was that you had forgotten to do it.
Nope. I given blood 3 days before that. It's a throwback from
man.
Yeah.
All right.
Caveman.
All right.
Caveman.
All right. You're strange. Just strange. All right. So to move on to the farming.
Yes.
Farming section of the show.
We got to slaughter some chickens.
So we got to swallow. Yeah. And, I always do this to you. We get to this time of year. It's completely on purpose. I schedule it purposely because I'm pretty much out of commission for the month of October.
Yeah.
As far as doing anything for at any meaningful length of time, just because of everything going on with my family's company and everything else that I do. So you're going to get stuck killing and cleaning chickens. Yep.
That is my least favorite thing to do because gutting chickens is the most disgusting.
They're just nasty.
Oh, God. They're animals.
Although,
man,
Daryl from FloridaHillbilly.com agrees with me that possums are more disgusting. His email detailed something about one eating a dead cow starting at the butt. I don't know. I'm not going to go back and read it because it was funny to read, but it was, Daryl, that was disturbing, dude. I appreciate it, though. Keep them coming. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, so we got to get rid of a lot of chickens, and that means we got to move the boiling pot thing or whatever up to the farm so you can do that. And
I think I'm just going to have a bunch of 5-gallon buckets, and I'm just going to run a train. Chop, chop, chop.
You're going to run a train on the chickens?
Yeah, I'll run a train on them.
That's so disturbing. Which, that will yeah. Yeah. I'm not...
A train with the cleaver, man.
All right.
Give me a samurai sword, and I'll make quick work of it.
About to go downhill quick. So, but we do, it's funny. We brought it up in the last episode with the farming update that we were going to talk about free range chicks, not chickens, free range chicks. And we totally forgot to talk about it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It worked for that one chick. So, okay, I'll do the setup.
One. We've got a 30% hit ratio.
I wouldn't even give it that high. So what we did was some of the chickens kept going to brood and we were like, well, I'm kind of tired of fooling with the incubator. Because I'm incredibly lazy, apparently. And just, it's not that I don't mind putting the eggs in the incubator. I just don't want to clean the incubator afterwards. So I was like, well, the chickens are going to brood anyway. Let's just see what happens when, we let chickens do the other thing that chickens are supposed to do, which is make more chickens. So we actually had pretty good success with it. We ran into a few problems, which was, and I think we talked about this in a previous episode, which was, we had a hen in the nest, and she was brooding, and she was doing her job, but other chickens were getting up in the nest with her and just putting more eggs in. The problem with that is now we have a delay of when these chicks are going to hatch. Yes. And the problem we ran into was, and I didn't start marking them until after this had been going on for weeks. So we got all these eggs in there that are all kinds of different due dates, which I didn't think was going to be a problem, but I went ahead and marked them. And then started taking out the eggs that were unmarked, obviously. Well, when it came time and the first few chicks hatched, there were still chicks that were still cooking in those eggs. But the hen was like, okay, my job is done here. And she gets out and she stops sitting on the eggs. And, well, the nesting boxes are up kind of high. So the little chicks, what do? They follow mama. Day 2. They follow mama out of the nest, thump onto the ground. And they're chicks. They're mostly made of rubber. And so they're fine for the most part. Actually, one of them did hurt its leg. And then they're running around chasing her. Well, she doesn't go back and get on the rest of the eggs because she can't get back up in there because, well, she won't get back up in there because her chicks can't get up in there. So she stays down with her chicks. And now you have all these eggs that basically have a 3/4 of the way made chick in there, which we're like, okay, well, I guess these eggs are bad. And I broke a couple of them and it was like, oh, that chick's still moving.
Yeah.
Oh, felt really bad about it. Took the rest of the eggs and put them all in the incubator, which resulted in problem number 2. Not all those eggs were good. So after a couple days in the incubator, all of a sudden my office reeked like rotten egg, which we've discovered is a really, really nasty smell after when they exploded on us. So every couple of days, one of those eggs would go bad in the incubator, and I'd walk into my office in the morning and be like, oh my God. And then I'd have to take the whole incubator outside where the whole room wasn't full of that rotten egg stink and then like stick my nose up to the egg and sniff each egg and get past the part that the stink was basically sticking to each of the eggs and be like, which one stinks the worst? It was a game of which one stinks the worst. Okay, this must be the bad one. And then throw it away and put them back in the incubator. And we ended up being able to save 3 chicks out of that. Yeah. And we took them and we tried to reintroduce them to the mother. And she was like, nah, not interested. No, thanks. I got my little peeps over here. I don't know who these chickens are. These are not my chickens. These are not the chickens you're looking for, or chicks you're looking for. So some interesting lessons there. You cannot, or at least we were not successful introducing new chicks to a hen that already had chicks. No. So now we have chicks on the loose. Plus she had basically chicks on the loose too. And so we ended up, out of all those chicks, we ended up one I found dead the next morning. It had gotten startled or something. It got its head caught and broke its neck in the chicken wire of the coop. Another one got trampled to death. Another one, I don't know what the heck happened to it. And then we had one just vanish altogether.
Right.
But the area that we keep the chickens in, it's not really designed for chicks. It's basically just cyclone fencing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's big enough for chicks just to pass right through it. Well, there's a big grassy median right outside the farm that's about 15 feet wide and, what would you say, maybe 100 yards long?
Yeah.
About that long. So a nice big grassy area that looks very inviting for little chicks to go run around in. Well, all these chicks would pass right through the gate, and I'm guessing stray cat picked off one of them. And then we had another one that like poked its eye out, and then it had like the big nasty bulging thing, and we couldn't get anywhere near it to actually try to give it antibiotics or anything. But it seemed to be doing okay for the most part. And I mean, other than having a giant weird swollen thing on the side of its head, and it was run around, then one day it just disappeared. So I'm guessing a cat got that one too. So we were left with one Australorp.
Mm-hmm. Australorp cross.
That thinks its mother is a Orpington. So, and it still chases its mother around, and it's still kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Still going.
Actually, it's big enough now where it can't get out anymore.
Yeah, it's big enough now. It's actually pretty big now. The other weird thing is there's no scientific evidence behind this that we've done because we didn't measure the chickens or weigh the chickens or, really be organized about it in any way. Basically, it was an exercise in how can you screw up chicks.
Right.
And so I could swear, though, that chick is, or now it's a pullet. I could swear it grew at about half the rate. The other chicks that we bred that we had in a cage, not running around and were eating grow feed. Because obviously we couldn't really separate these chicks out to give them grow feed. So they were just eating regular life feed.
Mm-hmm.
And I could swear that pullet is grew at half the rate the rest of our chickens have ever grown at. Because I think even you and I were talking about it one day. I was like, that thing seems real small for how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should be bigger. You would have thought that it would have done better. Like it would have done just as well because it could actually go out into it had that giant grassy
it was
field
constantly foraging.
Yeah, it was always out there foraging, and there's a ton of bugs out there because whenever there's rain or anything like that, that's one of the ways we clean up the farm is the rain turns the farm into a big sloshy, nasty, poopy mess. And so we take push brooms and just push it out through the fence into that median. Because part of it we're trying to repair and basically fertilize that easement, so that we can start planting, do a little guerrilla gardening out there. And so there's a ton of bugs out in that soil. So they were having a good time. I mean, they were having a great time out there. But apparently there actually is a difference with grow feed. I always thought it was kind of BS, but I don't know. We'll have to run another test. And I think the thing we did learn about this is having high up nesting boxes without a way that the chick can actually get back up in there. Well, that's generally kind of a bad idea.
Right.
We weren't exactly organized about this experiment. It was just kind of like, let them go to brood and let's see what happens. And it did. And we saw the random problems that can happen from that. So I think going forward, what we've realized is we have these two cages, these big cages we had made for storing pullets or chicks till they became pullets in my garage. And if you've been with us for a while, you know the wonderful smell that then permeated into the studio. And there's still kind of a weird chicken funk up here, but I think we've gotten rid of most of it. So we have those two big cages that if we just cut a new hole in and put a ramp on it, it's perfect. for it's a perfect big kind of brooding cage for the hens. And so I think we've got about a 10 by 12 area that's outside the farm that we're going to section off and let that be the brooding area. And just both the Orpingtons and the Australorps seem to do really well with brood. They seem to really be interested in going to brood.
Yeah, especially the Orpingtons. Those two Orpingtons that we have are really good hens.
Yeah, they are. And I think they're what, 2 years old now? Maybe 3?
Yeah.
I think they're 3 years old now. So it's time to just retire them to their egg production is probably about to severely drop off. So those can just be our brooding hens. That and they're pretty and they're sweet chickens. Mm. They remind me of the chickens from the Muppets that Gonzo ran around with.
Yes.
And so I think we can just use those as our brooding hens and stick them out there and set up a very specific area where they can get out and with their chicks and kind of scratch and separate out. Because as we saw, they do get run over by the bigger chickens. Mm. And it just being able to separate them out so that we can separate out the feed and everything else will be a lot easier. So definitely a lesson learned, because honestly, I would much rather go that route with things than to keep using the incubator. The incubator was neat the first couple times because it sat on my desk and it turned every couple hours and did all this whiz bang neat stuff. And I got to watch the eggs hatch and everything like that. I'm over it.
Here's a slight suggestion though. What I say, we actually use the incubator so that we have a perfect set of 7 timed exactly right. Mm. And then 2 days before they're supposed to hatch, go put them in the nest.
Yeah, the only thing is, we could do that. We would just have to make sure we did it all at the right time.
Yeah, that's not going to happen in September and October.
No, it's not going to happen in September. I mean, this time of year, we're going to have to... That is where the incubator would come into play, would be, since we don't have like a heated barn or anything like that,
right.
Would be to use the incubator. But my thing with that is we're back to putting I don't want to do it because we're back to putting chicks in the garage because it's the only place we could keep chicks warm enough.
Oh, no. Keep them in the incubator.
Okay.
3 days before they're supposed to hatch, go put them in the nest.
Okay. And hope she goes and sits on them? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, I mean, she'll go in there anyways to lay another egg. All of a sudden she's got chicks.
That sounds like an interesting experiment. Yeah. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Well, I guess that's another experiment. We can see how we do killing 7 more chicks.
Awesome.
Now, I will say the incubator has been pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like when we use the incubator, because I know a lot of people, and even when I was reading the books and talking to people and doing it, everybody was talking about, oh yeah, you lose almost a chick every time. When we were using the incubator and we had them in the garage and had the heat lamp on them and was feeding. Now, I'm going to admit that feed is, I'm pretty sure, loaded with antibiotics and everything else, but we never lost a chick that way. And we made a lot of chickens like that.
Yeah.
We never ever lost one.
Yeah. It was a perfect ratio.
Yeah.
I think there was one egg that didn't hatch.
There was one egg one time that didn't hatch. But even there, a lot of people talk about once they've got chicks, like losing, and everybody I talked to was like, oh, you'll lose one out of every batch. I'm like, I think there was like one time out of, I don't know how many batches of eggs we did, but we did a bunch and we only ever had one where the egg didn't hatch and we never had any chicks die. Mm-hmm. And we were being pretty careful with them and we didn't reintroduce them to the flock until after they were 2 months.
Yeah, they were fully feathered.
Fully feathered and about 2 months big enough to kind of get away from the other chickens and everything. Because that was another thing we did learn. As soon as you reintroduce them, the other chickens are like, oh, I need to go beat you up so you know who's in charge.
Yes.
So they do have to be big enough that they can run away and somewhat, I guess, withstand the beating because they don't really fight back, but they have to be big enough to be able to withstand the chicken beating that goes on.
It is. There truly is a pecking order.
Oh yeah, and that is where that comes from.
Yeah.
Which was weird because growing up, I spent so much time with horses and everything else, and we always talked about the pecking order. And it was just one of those things I never really thought to ask. When you're looking at horses and talking about pecking order, it's like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but you just don't ask and just don't really think about it. It didn't really even dawn on me where that would have come from until I was reading Chicken Book and until we were like, oh yeah, pecking order. That makes sense. Yeah. Right. But horses do the same thing, oddly enough.
Another observation.
Okay.
I think that the incubator produces more roosters.
I don't think that's true. I think you're smoking crack.
No, even the guy at the feed store told me that.
I think he's smoking crack too. We have just as many roosters this time as we did last time.
Those all from that batch came from the incubator.
That's right. We put him back in the incubator. Oh, no, wait, no.
Those are straight incubator.
Right, those are straight incubator. Mm-hmm. Well, did he give any kind of explanation? Now, this was the new feed store you're going to.
Yes. Supposedly, warm weather and kind of dry will give you more roosters. Cold and wet will give you more hens. What he said.
During the egg incubation process?
Whatever, yes.
I don't know. Sounds like crap to me.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll run an experiment.
I don't know how we're going to make cold and rainy eggs versus hot and dry eggs.
Real easy. We'll let her brood a batch.
Oh, brood naturally.
During the fall, winter. And then we'll do a batch.
It's going to be too late now, I think. Well, screw it. What do we care? We can always make more chickens.
Exactly. Yeah, come on.
Especially if they're doing all the work and I don't even have to clean the incubator afterwards. I don't care. Exactly. All right, we'll give it a try. We'll get the brooding section set up and we'll just let them see if they go to brood in the fall. Okay. Starting in November and see what they can do about, I guess they're in charge of keeping those chicks warm because we don't have any real electricity or anything else that we can set a heat lamp out there on them. So unless somebody has a brilliant suggestion for it. Now, this is an exposed area. We don't have an enclosed area to do this. So that is the other reason why we really wouldn't be able to put a heat lamp out there. So unless somebody knows of an all-weather heat lamp, we're going to lose a lot more chickens.
Yeah, probably.
Or have a whole bunch of hens. I mean, I'm hopeful, just not convinced that that's going to work. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm willing to try anything. Obviously, we're just like, whatever. Let's see what happens. Moving on to the water tanks. It was funny. I went back, and we've been talking about this for a while, and trying to get our rainwater catchment system, which has been aggravating because it's been raining in Houston a lot lately. And every time it rains, I'm like,
I'll get a text message. Damn it.
And he knows. I don't even have to explain it. He knows what I'm talking about. But I did sit down, and we did the math, and we figured out that using IBC tanks to store water versus buying the big water towers, it's about the IBC tanks, the used good, clean, food grade IBC tanks are about 34 cents per gallon versus, I want to say it was like 75 cents a gallon, not including delivery. About 75 cents a gallon for the big water containers that you buy at Tractor Supply or something like that. Now, here's where the math may start to come out a little even. I'm not really sure. When you start having to buy all the plumbing supplies to hook all of these IBC tanks together, because we're going to do a big system neighboring in the area of about 2,000 gallons. And when you start, now PVC pipe is pretty cheap, but when you're talking about buying all the fittings and buying all the sealants and everything else, I wonder, we'll have to do the math and actually keep track of what we spend and figure out how much it comes out a gallon. Right. But I thought that was interesting. It is a lot cheaper to use those IBC tanks. The other thing about the IBC tanks I think is interesting is that you can actually build out your water tank system basically in a modular fashion. Yes, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, and you're doing it in 275 gallon at a time. So you can start with a very, very small system and pretty quickly move out to a large system. The only thing is with the size of it, we don't really have a trailer. So we have to go rent a trailer every time we do this. So I'm thinking we'll probably end up doing this 2 tanks at a time or something like that. Yeah. Unless we want to go rent a giant trailer and buy 4 and just be like, all right, we're done with it one day.
Yeah, actually, I think one trailer will actually fit 4.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have all different sizes of trailers, but I was looking at U-Haul. Apparently, it's only like $18 I think it was like $30 for the fancy trailer, and like $18 for the one with the squeaky wheel or whatever. But anyway, so I was looking at, and I did calculate that into the math of one versus the other, and trying to move and transport one of those 1,500 gallon tanks was going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass when it's just the 2 of us, right? Because they're not terribly heavy, but they're big. Yeah. So getting it on the trailer at the store is probably not a big deal because we have people to help us. But then dealing with it and getting it off the trailer and getting it moved into position and up onto a rack once we're at the farm is maybe a little bit of a difference. So
I've made a couple of suggestions, but you weren't game for those. Yeah.
It involved lots of pulleys and a giant scaffolding system. And now I thought a goat. Well,
goat.
Yeah, it always takes a goat. If you don't have a goat involved, it's not a real project. I am still very mad that for us to have a goat, one, we can only have one stupid goat, and two, it's a $500 permit to have a goat in this frickin' city. Bunch of morons. They're like, oh, well, it's a milking animal and it could have blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm just going to eat the thing, or not eat its babies, and I'm not selling the milk or anything. I know, because apparently, organic whole milk is going to kill us all.
Oh, no, God.
Give me a break. Oh, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. I'm still mad about the goat thing because I want a goat. And I don't want a $1,000 single goat that I can't breed and make more goats to eat with.
I still think there's a loophole in there.
If you can find the loophole, or if somebody listening knows of a loophole in the Houston area about keeping goats.
What if we can keep a baby? We're allowed time for that a baby to get old enough in order to either slaughter it or whatever.
Right.
And there's also a holding period. So if you got 2 animals and you're fixing to harvest one, you're allowed to have 2. There's little windows.
There's a little window.
There's
still a problem with now we need somebody with a stud goat.
I'm sure we can find a stud, sir.
That's going to require another trailer.
I might know a guy.
You know somebody with a goat?
I might know a guy.
Okay.
Remember every one of the high schools around here have FFA programs?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
All my redneck friends, they come in handy sometimes.
That's true. We're still talking about $1,000 freaking goat, though.
Hey, that's because you want a crazy goat.
Even the cheap, it's still a $500 stupid permit to get a goat.
Okay. Besides the permit, we can get a goat.
Slightly used, slightly dinged up.
Yeah.
Goat.
Yeah.
Crooked leg.
He might not make the FFA show. He'll work. He'll produce some milk.
I guess hopefully it's her we're getting milk from, not him.
Yeah, true.
Because that's just not what I was after. Anyway, moving on before we get disgusting. All right. We'll give that a try in December.
Yeah,
in December. God, I hate that October. Well, most of September and October just gets fried from. See you later. I guess I'm stuck in an office for 12 hours a day.
I'm actually surprised that I see you as much as I do. This is the most I've ever seen you in the 20 years we've known each other in this time period.
That's because I've been slowly training my family not to expect to see me around the office. I've been mostly working from home for the last few months, which is nice because I'm just like 16 blocks from my office or from their office. So I'm very slowly trying to get them into the idea that I don't really work there anymore. It's working, but very slowly. So, but I still haven't completely gotten away from the hell that is October.
Sir, with your last name, sir? It's not going to happen.
Not in this city.
Sorry. Yeah, no.
Nope. And so I guess to move on to our other skills that we've been acquiring.
Skills, sir. Skills. Yes.
Sailing. Sailor.
Sailor.
That was a lot funnier when we were drunk. Which, you can't go sailing and not drink.
No, we have definitely found that out.
Well, you certainly couldn't. You and Tim,
woo, yeah. Me and bottles of rum.
I mean, if we're going to have a roving horde armada of rabbit-holing pirates, I guess we got to drink rum.
Drunk sailors, man.
Y'all were drunk. I don't know how y'all didn't fall in the water.
I don't know either.
Now, to be fair, all this, well, not all of it, but most of the drinking happened after the boat was docked again. Yes. We were only having a few adult beverages while the boat was moving.
Yes.
And the idea was just, I wanted to get back and sail. I did a little sailing when I was a kid, and I've always really wanted to sail. And of course, from a, I guess, more extreme end of survivalism, that's one of the few modes of transportation that really, for the most part, doesn't require much fuel. And, you get on a sailboat, and as long as the boat is big enough to handle blue water, you're pretty much go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Now, I did learn some interesting things. I'm not going to discuss too much of it today, because I don't know how much of it was fact and how much of it was, oh yeah, all you're going to need is a goat and a pulley. But I did hear from my other co-host, Jonathan, who knows a guy.
Who knows a guy?
And we were talking when I was in Austin last, and we were talking about, I'm thinking about doing this crazy thing. Because one of the things I've been thinking about with a boat is, I'm single, and I got no real reason to have a house.
Right.
And as long as I'm single and have no reason to have a house, if I'm going to do something crazy, like, I don't know, go live on a sailboat, now is the time to do it.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the other things that started this off. And that started, of course, a zombie apocalypse conversation I was having with Jonathan when we were there that last. And it was, and again, don't quote me on this. We'll correct all this later if it's completely wrong. But apparently, if your boat is flying an American flag and it's registered in the United States, your boat is American dirt. So it doesn't matter if you go outside of international waters. If there is
U.S. Coast Guard,
Navy boat, anything like that, you're still American boat, so they can, or dirt, so they can still board you.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was going to be doing anything that shouldn't be getting boarded, but I don't know. This is a zombie apocalypse we're talking about here. So then the whole conversation started about, well, you should register the boat in Belize, or you should register the boat in Costa Rica, all these different crazy things. So the other part of that was just make sure you register it in a country that doesn't really have a Navy.
Right.
So then nobody can legally board you. But another interesting thing, because I was, obviously we're survivalists and we have guns, or at least American survivalists and we have guns. Then the whole issue of, I was trying to do research of, I was like, okay, I know as long as you're in U.S. waters, you got your guns, you're cool. Providing you're not like stepping off into a state like California or something that has all kinds of crazy gun laws. But of course, when, like, if you were going to sail to Australia, which very long boat ride.
Very long.
But let's say we sailed to Australia because the zombie apocalypse hadn't happened there. You get into all kinds of issues with having your guns. So, of course, that led to another conversation with somebody else that knows a guy who hides his guns and does all these things. And I was like, I don't know about that. But that did actually, if you're going to have the boat and, go crazy with it, and if it's a big enough boat that you can really sail wherever you want, then guns and the storage of those guns and all that stuff gets really complicated. There were no really good answers. I wound up on a couple of different sailing forums. I know, I read it on the internet, but I wound up on a couple of sailing forums and did manage to find a few that had sections on there, or conversations on there that were in good conversations until they, of course, evolved into stupidity. But for the most part, there were no clear answers other than the topic of guns and boats in international waters is complicated, or at least when you're in another country's waters, it's complicated.
See, what the listeners really want to know is, when the hell's the flag coming out?
You mean the rabbit hole flag, the rabbit hole Jolly Roger?
Yes, we've got to fly our flag.
I'm telling you, when the zombies arise, because I don't want, I don't want to get shot. I don't want somebody to think I'm,
a pirate.
Well, fun pirate. I'm not that kind of pirate. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to use colorful. No, that'll give them the wrong idea what kind of pirate it is.
Yeah.
But
rainbow bunnies. Hello.
Hey, that. We're cool. If you got a rainbow bunny boat, that's cool. Just that's just not my boat. Just not my thing. Cool with it. Whatever. I have no problem with it. I'm just not flying that flag.
I'll fly it. It's okay.
You're gonna need your own boat. Anyway. Moving on, but it's funny because I do know a bunch of different knots, but it's funny, you get into sailing and you're like, all those knot books I had where I was like, God, I just wanted like one or two knots. Why did I bought the entire history and encyclopedia of knot tying? Now I'm like, oh, I needed that book after all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
it's amazing how many different knots there are that you actually use regularly on a sailboat. We figured that out very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
We're like, how do you do that one?
Yeah, exactly. They're all like whipping it out and doing all this stuff. Well, not whipping it out, but like whipping the rope around and doing all this stuff and tying it up. And you're like, wow, all right, I guess I should probably learn those knots. But even the difference between tying knots on a sailboat versus a motorboat or more importantly, on dry land was one of the interesting things that Jackie was telling us, the person that's teaching us to sail, was that you never want to tie a hard knot. It was always you want to tie now I can't remember the proper term and name for it, and basically a quick release knot, since it has left my brain while I'm sitting here staring at your face. But anyway, basically a quick release, not something you quickly pull because everything's under tension, and the more tension, it gets tighter. Now, I was reading some other knots, and it was like, no, you can use this knot, and it never gets tight. I don't know. I also learned what a giant pain in the ass it is to try to learn knot tying from a book. You would be amazed at how many of those things where you're looking at it and you're like, God, it's like I know I'm not an idiot. And you're looking at it and looking at it. And then you figure out whoever the idiot was that edited that book misnumbered the pictures. You're like, how do you get from that to that, back to that, and over here? What's... So I have found that...
No doubt. That is hilarious, man.
And then there's other things where it's like, what are they doing? It's like, how did you all of a sudden go from that to that? And that is where YouTube is your friend. And there are a lot of knot tying things. And there are a lot of idiots tying knots on YouTube too. But there's a lot of really awesome knot tying videos on there. And I know even itstactical.com did like a whole bunch of knot tying stuff. So most of his were not related to sailing, but he's got some too for people that are interested in knots. And there was just all kinds of great stuff. But it was funny because I would go and I would spend like 30 minutes trying to tie some stupid knot. And I'd be like, oh man, and I'd go to YouTube and I'd be like, these stupid pictures are out of order. That's why I'm like, I'm tied up in the thing along with it. And then the other thing I found was they would just like, there were pictures missing or a step missing or something where it was just not right.
Google is your friend.
Google is your friend. Well, and the NSA's friend, but anyway, lesson learned about knot tying. I do like the books as a reference and as far as having a solid list of knots that are interesting. And it seems like there are enough people that have made really good videos on YouTube for knot tying that with a book and YouTube in hand, you can learn a lot.
That's awesome.
It is. So learning all kinds of knots. And I thought it was pretty funny. I spent the first evening just learning how to properly store, because there are knots involved in storing rope. Those were somehow two of the trickiest things because, again, one of them, the pictures were misnumbered. Other one, a picture was missing. Now, the guy's beard was super cool. He looked like Super Sailor Guy, but his stupid fucking book, whoever edited it was an idiot. But anyway, I haven't gotten into the other books yet. I've only started on one. I bought I had one book on it, and I bought 2 more knot tying books.
Yeah, when I walked in your house today, there was like knot books and sailing books like scattered throughout the house.
Yeah. It's like Jade came by and she was like, you should really clean up in this room because I have one room that would normally be a dining room and it's my reading room. And I've got all these stacks of books on the buffet, and then I've got all these books open, like face down, laying all over the coffee table. She's like, you should clean. I was like, no, don't touch anything. I was like, those are all the books I'm currently reading, sitting there face down. Those are all the books I have read and may reference again. And then there's more books up in the studio that is the actual library of books that I probably am not going to reference or read anytime soon again. And she was like, what? She was like, but how do you know I was like, that pile is survival. That pile is for work. That pile is for sales and marketing. And that pile is for writing and literature. And that pile is architectural history. Like, what? She was very confused by this. She thought it was like bothering her. It was very messy. Like, it's not messy. That room is not messy. There's like hardly, it's
no
buffet and nice stereo in there, coffee table, 2 chairs, and okay, the coffee table's covered in books that are all half open. That was her other thing, is how can you have that many books going at once? It's like, well, you can only read about knots for so long before you're like, maybe I'll read a vampire book or zombie book or something.
Hey man, you stick to the knots and I'll figure out how to fix and repair the diesel motor.
Well, now that was the other thing I was going to come up on, like maybe in the spring or something, finding a class on small engine repair.
Yeah.
So, because apparently sailboats have very small engines. I was very surprised. It was like, what, for boats, like what, 32 foot boat, I think, somewhere in that range. Yeah. And she had like 20 horsepower engine, which I guess it made sense. You're not trying to haul ass in a sailboat via the engine.
Right.
You just need it to idle in and out of your dock. That made sense. But I was kind of surprised. I was like, really? 20 horsepower? That's it. He was like, oh yeah, tank of diesel. What would she say? Tank of diesel last her almost a year.
Oh,
it was a long time. And it wasn't even like a big tank. It wasn't even a big tank. But she's like, yeah, she just uses it to idle out in open water and idle back in. And that was it. She's like, I don't really, use that much. I was like, that was interesting. Of course, the other fun part was the steering went out.
Yes.
And what was that? It was a holiday. What holiday was it? Labor Day.
Labor Day
weekend. You would think we would know that. Since it's, our birthday's around there. But Labor Day weekend out on the water, one of the last days on the planet, you want the steering to go out on your sailboat. I got to say, I was super impressed with her because she ripped that thing open and pulls out this bar, and she's like steering the whole boat with this emergency steering bar. She's like, oh yeah, it's happened before. She goes, my pulleys are off, and she's saying all this. I'm like, oh yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you look like you know what you're doing.
She was flipped upside down with that Chris mentioned, just going to town, man.
Yeah. So we did manage to get the steering straightened back out, and
I was impressed.
I was impressed too. And she's like, I'm so sorry. This is not how you want your... I was like, no, this is perfect. This is the kind of stuff we want to know. Like, what happens when you break shit? Because we will break it. Even if it looks like, steering, something that shouldn't go out on a sailboat. No, we'll mess that up. And there'll probably be a chicken involved. Or a goat. Maybe a goat. Definitely not a possum. I hear they don't like going out on open water. And then there was the whole conversation of how are you going to get the tactical Weimaraner on a boat? Because I don't think... He's a little too old to be taking all that jostling around. Yeah. All that stuff. But
we'll get him some tactical floaties.
That was another conversation we were having on the boat. Were tactical floaties and dolphin rape.
Rape. Oh God, we keep forgetting about that.
I think actually tactical floaties, which do really exist for those that were never in the Navy or Marines, tactical floaties do actually exist, and instead of having cute little flowers on them, they're just black. That's if you paint it black, it's tactical. Who was I was having dinner with somebody the week before that, and I don't even know where this came from, but she starts talking. We were talking about Costa Rica, and she visits Costa Rica a lot. We were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to go. I'm thinking about going in the next year or something. I hear it's a cool place to... We started talking about surfing because I was like, how's the surfing there? And she's like, oh yeah, it's really... But you got to watch out for the dolphins. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, seriously, you got to watch out for the dolphins. I was like, what are you talking? People swim with the dolphins all the time. She's like, no. Like she was like really started to look kind of traumatized. And she's like, you have to watch out for the dolphins because they're extremely efficient hunters. So they don't have much else to do with their time except play. And they try to rape everything they can. I was like, you're putting me on. She's like, no, I swear to God. So like, pull out your phone and YouTube dolphin rape. Like, I'm eating. I am not Googling it. I did Google it later. It was not cool. Dolphins are dirty little bastards. So that became a whole joke. I don't even remember how that came a joke on the boat. Oh, so I still had this stupid dolphin rape thing fresh in my mind.
We saw dolphins.
And we saw dolphins.
Yes.
And then Jade and I started talking about the dolphins. And she's like, we could swim with the dolphins. I'm like, no. Have you seen YouTube? Dolphin rape. And there's like 6 of them. So that's like dolphin gang rape. And now it's become a total thing of dolphin rape. So if you're going to go sailing, that is why you need a sailing chastity belt. Because those dolphins are dirty little bastards. Dolphin rape. It's a real thing. Look it up. YouTube. I don't actually. Not if you're eating or driving. You should watch videos while you drive, especially people being molested by dolphins. It's really disturbing. I was like, what? That's really not right. It was very disturbing. I am not going to include that in today's show. Now, I did totally forget, and this is going to be totally random, but I have to put it back into the show because it was about the IBC tanks.
Oh, okay.
All right. I know this is so random and I hate doing this, and I had it in my show notes and I forgot to read it off because I was trying not to look at them, trying not to read off them too much while we were talking, but.
And I was blaming you because I couldn't read them, so it's your fault.
Exactly. So, IBC tanks. Here was a problem I was trying to figure out how to solve. And actually, that is the video I was trying to watch when you started having your fake heart attack the other night.
Great. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
So the problem with IBC tanks is that they're translucent, which you have them out in the sun, you're going to have problems with algae, which I don't know that that's actually a health concern. I've drunken. I'm drunk right now. I have had consumed plenty of lake water in my life. Green, nasty lake water. Didn't have a problem with it. At least not from the algae. So I don't know, other than it just being icky or people thinking it's icky, I don't know that it's a real problem. Funguses would be a problem. Other things could be a problem like that. But generally not something necessarily you want in your water.
Right.
Whether it be taste or maybe there is a real health issue there. I don't know. So that's usually why those water storage tanks are black, completely opaque, so that light can't get in and the algae can't grow. There's a guy on YouTube, and actually he's in the Houston area, and he goes by LDS Prepper on YouTube, and I'll try to find the link again and put it in the show notes for those that want to watch it. And I keep meaning to actually contact him and see if he'd like to come on to the show. But he found a solution where you can take the plastic tank itself out of the metal cage that IBC tanks come in, and he wrapped it up like a giant Christmas Kwanzaa Hanukkah present with black 6 mil plastic. He rolled out the 6 mil plastic, set the tank in it, got himself, of course, a roll of duct tape, tactical black, and literally wrapped the thing like a present, and then just poked a hole in it for the top and screwed the lid back down and sealed it and did all this stuff. And I was like, look at that. The reason I think that that's actually better, and I was trying to do the math earlier, and I think it comes out that the wrapping it that way is easier because there's no mess you're dealing with, like unlike paint, and those IBC tanks aren't small, so it's actually cheaper to use the plastic than to paint it. Plus, you got to make sure you get the right paint, because if you get the wrong paint, it's going to crack. It's not going to stick right. So you actually have to make sure that you get paint that will bond to plastic. So. Yeah. And they do make specific paints for that. And if you were trying to use spray cans, you'd be buying a lot of spray paint to do that. So that was the reason behind it. And he made it look pretty nice. I mean, it did. It looked like a giant black present. It was kind of interesting. I was like, wow, that's way too simple. So that was the thing about the IBC tank I had in my show notes tonight.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
And now we're back to dolphin rape. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty much done with the story about dolphin rape, other than I'm sure I've been driving everybody nuts, just randomly yelling out dolphin rape throughout this entire section of the show. But it was just so funny and so random. And I'm really curious how many people are actually on their phone or computer right now Googling dolphin rape. Real thing. It happens, folks. You got to watch out for them. Telling you. Put on your life vest and your sailing chastity belt. He'll get you. And the jellyfish too, which I actually did get stung by a bunch of jellyfish because I dove and
wasn't paying any attention.
I wasn't paying attention, and Jackie was like, as I'm flying through the air, Jackie's like, jellyfish, and I'm like, I see that now. Those were some pretty weak jellyfish, though. I gotta say, I was not stung very bad.
They weren't like man o' wars or anything. They were the typical little
bitty ones. Yeah.
Not that bad.
Yeah,
I saw them the entire time. That's why I didn't jump in the water. And I didn't even realize you were really going in. I thought you were just talking smack until you actually jumped in. And I was like, oh, so how's a jellyfish, dude?
Yeah, it's about time where I came back up out of the water. I was like, yeah, one got my arm.
Yeah, and your back.
Why wouldn't... Did one get my back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jackie had to like rub that stuff all over me, which actually didn't take the sting out at all.
See, you got to pee on it, man. Dude, I'm there for you, man. I would have just hopped up there on the top and just pissed all over you.
Do not urinate on me. Do not urinate on me under any circumstances. Do not urinate on me. And I swear, I meant to look it up, and I don't remember which medical class I took. But I know that one of those medical classes, we did learn about the fact that is a myth.
Is it?
I think it is. I'm like 99%.
I'll tell you
positive.
What, next time we're out on the boat, go ahead and jump back in, get stung.
Do not piss on me.
I'll go ahead and piss on you.
Do not urinate on me for any reasons. Don't throw me in with the dolphins, and do not urinate on me. That's all I ask. Those are my top 10 things to ask of you not to do. Yeah, I swear that's an urban legend. It's in one of these books around here somewhere. I don't remember which one it's in.
You just want to prove it to me? Don't piss on me!
Well, now it really bothers me. I'm like, no, I swear that's not right. Everybody says it, but it's not right. I really need to look that up. And if I can remember whether or not, and if I can find which book it's in, I will put it in the next show about whether or not urination actually does fix that. And even if it does, I don't care. Don't pee on me. It's just not cool, dude. Not cool. I'll pee on myself.
You know what they say, man. If you can't piss on it, you can't. Or if you can't eat it.
Yeah. Trying to keep the swearing down to a minimum. I know where we're going with that. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't even remember what she put some cream on me, and it didn't even do anything. Like, it was just such a mild sting. But like you were saying, they were kind of silly little jellyfish.
Yeah, they did.
I was a swimmer my whole life. How would I not jump in?
Fair enough.
And nobody said jellyfish until I was already midair. Actually, everybody, you and Jackie, and I think one other person yelled jellyfish, and Jade yelled dolphin rape. And now we cannot get on a boat without that coming up. Yeah, it was pretty disturbing. So that is our new adventure, is sailing.
Yes. We have to start the armada.
We do have to start the armada.
That's what
this stuff ain't going to start itself.
Exactly. We got to be all captained up and sailors.
You can be on your own boat with that sailor stuff.
Sailors.
With your little sailor outfit. But in all seriousness, no, I mean, in all seriousness, I really think it would be just kind of, I'm probably going to end up hating it, but I just, if you're going to do something nuts, there are certain times in your life that A, you can afford it, and B, there's nobody else to complain about it.
Agreed.
So,
Sir. Kiwi?
Sir. Kiwi. Yeah. Yes. Well, you're
midlife crisis. Yes.
Midlife crisis. Let's go off to New Zealand and, just, last minute tell our friends, I'm moving to a whole nother continent somewhere. Yeah. See you later. Bye. What? You do what? With sheep? Watch out for the dolphins. Here, they're really vicious down there. Water's chilly. They're looking to warm up. But yeah, I mean, of all things, so that's going to be another experiment. That's not going to happen anytime soon, obviously, because A, sailboats are not cheap, and B, I actually should probably really learn how to become a proficient sailor before, living on a boat.
Exactly.
And not just having it tied up to the dock all the time.
A question to the listeners. Monohull or catamaran?
This past weekend when I went out, we were talking a lot about that. They apparently... And anybody who knows anything about it, please chime in on the comments, because this is kind of going to become a regular topic of the show now. And I think if there is anybody that is like really an avid sailor that really wants to come on and talk about it, please, fill out the guest form, and we'd love to have you on the show to talk to you about sailing and starting our own roving horde armada. That was an interesting topic, because at first I really didn't get I got the physical difference between the two, but I didn't really know what the difference was. So she was talking about single hull versus mono. So the boats and she was saying like they're real common down in the Caymans and stuff, and down in the Caribbean. But it was interesting because she was talking about that they're a lot more stable, and they don't heal.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, because I remember she was like, no, it's not keel, it's heel. Now I remember. Anyway, she was like, you keel over, you do not. You heel, and if you keel over, you've heeled too hard. I remember that's how the discussion went. But anyway, the catamarans are more stable. They don't heal as much. They don't, or at all, really, unless you're really riding one really hard. And then, so they tend to be more popular for chartering services. But it was interesting, just the layout and the way the design of the ship, because with a monohull boat, it was pretty neat, because it's basically, as soon as you get any sort of length at all, you've got space where you can sleep in the boat. Mm-hmm. And with the catamarans, that was not so much the case. You can, like, when it comes to the smaller boats, like, say, under 30 feet.
Yeah.
There's catamarans are usually just like, there's nothing up top. Just basically a place for you to sit and kind of steer the boat and do the thing with the ropes and, avoid the dolphins. But that's about it. As soon as you get up over 30 feet, then catamarans actually, or right around 30 feet, catamarans become really interesting, because that whole center section that kind of floats
in between the two
holes. Kind of hovers between the two holes, or bridges between the two holes, that can actually become a living space, or like a whole living room, basically.
Yeah.
And of course, with boats, sky's the limit, and you can get really crazy stuff really quick. Like last week I was looking up, what is it? The Leopard 39, which is like a, what is it? Like a I think I was saying I think it's like a $500,000 boat. I'm not buying this silly thing, but it was like a $500,000 boat, and even used, it was like a $250,000 boat. It's a very, very nice boat. If you want to see
Very
pictures
nice.
of a very pretty boat,
Yes.
look up Leopard 39, and I think they go all the way
Leopard
up.
46 is amazing.
No, the 58.
58.
But you know what I like?
You have to have a special license or something for that thing, don't you?
I don't think there's a license. I think it just, you have to really know what the hell you're doing with it. And I think it requires like a full crew and everything. It's a big boat. Yeah, it had like 3 tiers on it or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but of course, when you get into the 58, all the pictures become that much more ritzy. Like everybody's hanging out drinking champagne, and the pictures of the boat with the Leopard 58. The 46, it's like you're entertaining a cute girl. The 32, you're having a good time and you're looking very manly in your very fancy boat. But the 58, you've got a bunch of friends over, you've got a prettier girlfriend, and you've got and everybody's got champagne. I liked how the girls in the photos got progressively more attractive as the boat got bigger.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty funny.
That's good marketing, man.
That's exceptional marketing. But yeah, it was really funny. So I was checking those out. And so it was, when she and I were talking about it again, she said it was really about personal preference. If you're going to have a lot of people on the boat that aren't necessarily sailors, or you're somebody that gets seasick pretty easily, or you just want more stability, or you just want to go faster, than catamaran's the way to go. Because, but with the monohull, it's, you get living space and basically more amenities available to you for less money.
Right.
Because with the catamaran, you're really not getting much in the way of nice space to live until you start getting into expensive, bigger boats.
Yeah. It's about, I want to say the minimum was 36. You have to have like a minimum of 36 before you even get kind of.
Well, I think it was a minimum of 36 before you start talking about doing blue water sailing, which is where you're, really.
Oh, it's actually 38 for a catamaran. I think. Yeah, 38. It's 38 for a catamaran. I think there's a couple 36s that have done it. A couple designs.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. For catamaran, it was like 38, and for
a monohull, it's 36.
Yeah. She was saying she could pull it off in her boat, which was 32. She goes, but it would be rough.
Yeah.
It would be a rough ride because the bigger the boat, the less impact the sea, the waves and the motion of the ocean and all that fun stuff has on the boat. And this, of course, we're talking about from a very limited knowledge of sailing. We're just trying to regurgitate what we heard. But yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Personally, I think I would enjoy catamaran more just because, well, of course, I mean, when you're looking at like a Leopard 39 or a 58, because the 58 comes with apparently comes stock with a hotter chick, and champagne. But it seems like it would be a better living experience, I guess, if I was going to live on a boat.
I agree.
You had more
space.
You had more space. You had more space that it looked like you would actually use,
right? As
opposed to just having this big living area, which the monohulls kind of had. But it is also amazing how for every foot you go with a sailboat or any boat, really, it's just like price just starts going through the roof. And part of that was amenities and what, is it an all teak boat? Is it, does it have teak flooring, or, what kind of appliances does it have, and how big are your electronics and all this other stuff. But it was also, there was somebody else I was talking to, and they were talking about, it's literally, there is the math involved is exponential, because for every foot you go out, you need that much more materials on a curve going up, going under and up. Literally, there's exponentially more just material in the bigger boats. And they said, and of course, the bigger the boat, they start getting really fancy, and you're paying for fancy. Well, I didn't want to be fancy because it comes stock with the hot chick. But I wonder if you go over 58, if they champagne and caviar.
Right.
I don't know. That's the question. Somebody know that.
I would almost guarantee you, if you walk in there to go buy one of those, they will go ahead and give you
I'm pretty sure the woman that sells it to you is very attractive, and they probably give you a little bit of champagne while you're waiting, maybe a little caviar.
I'm thinking so for $500,000.
I know a guy that has a 64-foot Hatteras. I'm going to go ask him what kind of treatment he got when he was buying his boat. I'm sure it was pretty good. I'm pretty sure. But I don't know that anytime in the foreseeable future of my life will I be owning a boat that is 64 feet. I mean, but his was a Hatteras. It wasn't a sailboat. So the diesel bill alone, I don't remember. He was moving the boat from Houston to Florida to get it out of the path of a hurricane one time, or maybe they were just going on a trip. I don't remember. And I don't even remember what it was, but he was telling me what the diesel bill was to fill that bad boy up to get to Florida. And it was, I don't know, something ridiculous, like $4,000, $5,000, or just something crazy. Like a small used car. And I was just like, and where do you, he's like, oh, no. He's like, a guy comes and gets it and fills it up. I don't deal with that. I was like, well, you got, $2 million boat. Yeah, I wouldn't deal with it either.
He has a crew.
Yeah.
There's people that take care of that.
Yeah.
His job is to come out there and go, I want to go here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, no, he drives his own boat, but I think he does actually have a crew too. But anyway, very wealthy guy. But back to the realm of reality. Yeah, it's interesting and I can talk today. Interesting to see. Yeah, I've said sailor too many times. It's interesting to see the difference between the two boats, and I guess going forward, like figuring out, because I don't know, it's something I'd like to do within the next year or two, as far as figuring out about actually getting my own boat and actually doing it, and that's going out and doing it together. As long as you don't keep saying sailor like that.
That's why I keep emphasizing the whole catamaran thing.
Oh, your side of the boat. This is my side of the boat. You go say sailor however you want on your side of the boat. Yeah, I think going forward and just going through the experience of figuring out what kind of boat, because I guess at this point we don't even know anybody with a catamaran.
No.
So as far as catamarans are concerned, we are completely talking out of our butts.
Yes.
Other than what this person that's teaching us to sail has had to say about him, and even she, I think she said she's been on a couple times, but she doesn't enjoy it because it just doesn't feel like. She said the experience of sailing is very different. She was saying you don't heel like you do in a catamaran. I was like, I really see that's that exciting. I mean, you're like up on one side of the boat and going crazy. She's like, oh no, it's great. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe it's better than dolphin rape. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. And with that, we're going to wrap up episode 104. Thank you for joining us today. Get weekly updates about articles, episodes, and special In the Rabbit Hole announcements every Saturday morning by signing up for the newsletter through the website, intherabbithole.com. From the Lone Star State, till next time, stay safe and sound.